Ladies and gentlemen, not a day goes by, not a post, where I don't have someone talks about left-wing voter fraud. In each case, there's not a lot I can tell them. I agree with them that voter fraud has been a problem. Donald Trump has talked about the desire to clean up our voting system and eliminate voter fraud. Over the last year, Donald Trump has engaged each and every division of government that should have a role in protecting our elections, with a desire to monitor everything to ensure that voter fraud doesn't take place. Now, recently he put out a call to everyone nationwide requesting if they had any information that could be used to prove voter fraud, please bring it to his attention. Well, a small group of attorneys has done just that. They put together a writ of mandamus and submitted it to the Supreme Court. And ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, the Supreme Court has put it on the docket. Now, does that mean they are going to hear the case? Not necessarily. In some cases, when they put something on the docket after they hear basically and read the document, they will either make a decision to hear the case at the Supreme Court, or they will refer it to a lower court first to make an opinion, and then they will review that opinion. When I first started reading this, the legalese was so ridiculous that I was kind of like, wow. As everyone knows, law is written using the Greek definition of words, not the English definition of words. That's why you hear people joke that it's all Greek to me. Well, it is Greek. Anyway, once you get past the legalese that sets up the justification for the writ of mandamus, and you start reading the final 10 pages or so outlining corruption in our voting system, you will see Hillary's name comes up in it quite often. Hillary is deeply involved in the crime of stealing elections. It amazes me with what they had done in 2016 that she actually lost. I think it tells us all that President Trump won by a much greater margin than you could possibly imagine. How is this going to affect November the 6th? Well, there's two possible ways. The court could read it and make a decision that this is too important to let slide, and they could issue an emergency order reference this election. But there's another aspect, regardless of whether the court attacks this before November the 6th. And that point is this: the fraud is finitely detailed, how they did it, where they did it, how they were able to accomplish it, and where they accomplished it. And I do mean accomplished it. Bernie Sanders would have been running against Trump if it wasn't for Hillary's machine, based off what I read. With that said, think about this. If you're in the deep state and you're one of the people named in this document producing fraud, this has already gone to the Department of Homeland Security. It's gone to other departments of government that will be involved in monitoring the elections, and it's going to be able to give them a roadmap of what to search for, how to find it, and how to stop it. And if they don't stop it, President Trump has already warned everyone that the fullest measure of the law will be thrown at you if you are caught. I am going to provide a link below to this document. As you can see, this is a copy from before it was sent and accepted by the Supreme Court. It does not have a docket number, although it has been accepted by the Supreme Court. And as you go through the relief sought, petitioners, statement of facts, issues raised, conclusions, you will find a lot of legalese in here that'll spin your head around, but as you continue on down, things start to get more English, more understandable, and you start understanding exactly what these people have been doing in our elections. It is incredible to see a legal document that spells out with proof that the United States election system has been compromised. I hope the Supreme Court takes this up in a timely manner and does not send it to a lower court. What's also interesting is many of the things that are brought up through the course of this document have been brought up in lower courts in the past. And when they've been sent to lower courts, the lower courts have just basically sat on them and let them die of old age with nothing ever being accomplished. As you can see, it's an incredibly long document. You will be reading for some time, but it is an interesting read and one that every American should pay attention to. One of the most notable things that I got out of this was that when you go to the polls, you should ask for a paper ballot. If this writ of mandamus is issued, it will basically be to keep all paper ballots so that they can be counted. Now, if you happen to be in an area that is digital only and they are not accepting paper ballots, my question is, can you ask for an in-person absentee ballot and submit it in paper? Basically, what this details is the digital fraud that's taking place in our elections, pre-programmed, before the election starts, to make sure that one person gets a larger number of votes than they actually receive. As a result, the only way the true winner actually wins is when the margin of victory is beyond the programmed amount of extra votes to the other candidate. It can happen and does happen. We can tell that by Donald J. Trump. His election proves that the American people, when they red wave, they can overcome the fraud that's pre-programmed into the system. Anyway, I thought you guys should know that this puts a real crimp on the deep state come election time. Reason being, the government now knows exactly what to watch for, where to watch for it, and how to catch them. Right now, if you ask me, those members of the deep state that are involved in this corruption have to be crapping in their pants. And I do mean crapping in their pants. I sure wouldn't want my name in a document like this that's been accepted before the Supreme Court. Let's hope that either the government, the court, issues the writ of mandamus so that the elections can be verified, or B, that the deep state backs off this election and says, we better not do it. And I'll tell you the truth, I've been feeling that the governor of Florida, Andrew Gillum, leading in the polls, has nothing to do with Florida being a socialist state. But Florida is one of the states that have the voting machines that this fraud can take place and has been manipulated in the past. So if Gillum loses, I will say that the deep state backed off. If Gillum wins, you can almost be sure it was voter fraud. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today. I hope you'll take the time to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.